What is up, y'all? Just got off work about 7:30 in the morning, heading up towards Pinnacle with a buddy of mine that I work with here, and we're gonna do a little bass fishing this morning on a local pond that he knows of, that he fishes quite a little bit. Taking out both my bait casters, trying to get pretty good on those, leave the spinning reel behind, just because that's primarily what I like to use in bigger water. Try to get a little better on pond fishing with one. Be using the Lew's rod today, and I'll also be using my Abu Garcia Max Pro. Don't know exactly what all we're going to use yet. This morning, hopefully, use a little bit of topwater bait. Sorry, dropped my phone there. But hoping we can use some topwater baits this morning and bust a couple fish. If not, throw a little worm on there and play around. One of my favorites I've been using is the little Whopper Bloppers. Those things are crazy good. Freshwater fishing, you know, for bass, stuff like that. Had a little bit of everything hit them. But super excited to get out there and see what we're gonna catch. So when we get out there, I'll get back with you. Figured I'd hop back on here for a minute while I'm driving up here. Got a little bit of a ride. I just want to talk about you know, the entry to bait casters for anybody that's getting into them. You know, trying to get used to fishing with one. You know, what to look for when you're buying one. Yes, budget versus spending, you know, $150, you know, some dollars, maybe a little more, depending on what you're looking for, what kind of lines and stuff you're running. So the first bait caster I bought from Academy. That is probably one of the best places to go pick one up. That Dick's Sporting Goods has some really good stuff. But Academy by far has the biggest selection of combos versus buying just a reel and then buying a rod. But I bought the H2OX Angler. I think I spent $45 on this thing. I'm pretty sure it's a 4-bearing system. Not sure exactly what the ratio was. Wasn't very much. You know, your retrieval rate wasn't that great on it, but I used it for probably 2 weeks, and I did not have a good time with it. The adjustments and stuff on that rod was just not where it needed to be. And being fresh on bait casters, I didn't know as much as I do now. Casting, setting your spool tensions, your your brakes, stuff like that. So I kind of didn't fish with one for a little bit and bought a little Zebco spinning reel for like $40. Used that a few times. I was like, you know what, let's get another bait caster. So I found a Lew's SLP. I still have it now, but I found it on OfferUp because I got banned from Marketplace. Anyways, on OfferUp found it. The dude was thinking that the spool tensioner wasn't working properly, and it was. So I ended up buying this Lew's SLP for a really good deal. And kind of his loss, not knowing much about them. Bought it, rigged it up with some cheaper line, played with it for a little bit. After I got it home, I put it on my H2OX Anglers. Second camera might slide. I put them on my H2OX Anglers rod, 6 foot 6 inches medium rod, instead of buying a new rod for it. Played with it, got comfortable with it, started using it. Have had a blast. It is a good entry priced reel. I think you can get the reel for $60. Pretty sure, something like that. I ended up buying it for $20 from this guy used. I spooled it with Cajun 20 pound. ways. I took it out on the lake, used it on the lake. I used it in ponds. I've used it in moving water. Just a really great bait caster. All the adjustments are nice. Setting the brakes really easy. When you're setting your bait caster up, you have to take in mind each rod is set up for a specific weight lure, you know, within that range, a range of line, and your reel's the same way. Your reel is designed for a specific range of things. You can't expect it to do what your spinning reel is going to do with a really light lure. You can't expect it to handle an insane amount of weight either, if it's not specified for that. You know, like freshwater rod versus ocean rod, something like that. You really have to sit there and play around with your brake, not your brake, your spool tension. That's where a lot of it comes down to. And when you first start, max your drag brake out, or whatever, magnetic brakes, people call them different things, certain rods. Anyways, max that brake out. You know, when you're setting your bait, you want to play up with it so it drops just a little. I mean, very, very minimal when you release the bail. And when it touches the ground, you might want just a little bit of line to just roll up, almost like it's gonna back, like bird nest right there in front of you, but not all the way. Just make sure it's doing that. You don't want any more, and you don't want it so tight that you're having to muscle this rod. A bait caster is not like a spinning reel where you're just muscling. And you can wrist a spinning reel. I do, once you get comfortable on one. But anyways, the bait caster is just in the wrist. You keep it in and you just wrist that rod. And when you're casting, it shouldn't be such an effort to cast unless you're really trying to launch it. And a bait caster is just not, around here in freshwater where I fish, I don't have anywhere to just launch it unless I'm out on the lake. So I set it up for medium, you know, probably 30, 40 feet cast, something like that. That's probably the longest distance. But setting that up and getting comfortable throwing it out there without whipping it, because when you're slinging it, you're either going to cause the bait to go too fast, speed up the spool, and when your bait drops, if you're not holding your thumb on your spool, when the bait drops, the spool's just going to keep spinning super fast, and that's going to create your backflash. If you're keeping your thumb just rested on it and stopping it as it hits the water, almost minimize all backflash, unless you just, you know, you mess up your cast or whatever. But there in the beginning, when you're running that brake all the way up and playing with your spool tension, you leave it a little tight for the first time and just start doing short casts. Start practicing, and then start backing the brake off and just keep going. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it. It's just, I had trouble with a bait caster for a long time until then I started playing with it. And this Lew's has been great. You can probably do it with a cheaper one than the Lew's. Just play around with the different baits and stuff like that. I have a little bit of heavier top water stuff, and I have some really light worms and stuff. So the last few days I've been getting out with a worm and practicing with a worm, and that's a whole different ballgame. But it's down to your brake setting and your spool tension and how you're casting. And I mean, you get a worm on there, and people like to see just whip it to try to get it as far as possible. A bait caster, it's not that. It's just make the bait work for you. The weight of the bait is what's going to get you out there. When I'm casting something light, I like to leave about 2 foot of line down off the tip of the rod so I can get the momentum of the bait and the weight to just carry the line versus me sitting there slinging that rod and just backlashing, because there's nothing worse than backlashing while you're fishing. out here on the pond here. Just missed it, didn't have my GoPro on. I just busted probably a 2-pounder. See if we can reel us another one in. Bad thing about fishing a plopper, you know, dense pond like this. Come on, baby. Little smallie chasing it there. I literally just set it right in front of me coming out. It. That was the biggest one today right there. Pretty little boy. Back to your water, buddy. Next. Oh, that was horrible. There's nothing but grass on that one, bub. Come on, get out of it, get out of it, get out. Look at that right there. That's horrible. You good? Been drinking? A little early. What's this? Probably. Alright, so we switched baits. Let's see here. Little topwater frog. Hooks right there. Haven't had any luck on this one yet. But in this pond, I'm feeling pretty good about it. So right here, I was talking about earlier, setting your reel. Right there, just barely falling. I got my brakes almost all the way off. Like I said, if you're beginning out, should probably leave the brake on a little more. Once you get used to casting these things though, it's nothing. We'll cast right out here in that old thick mess, see if we can bust as a big one. You're hitting top water like crazy down there. Every time I come up here, I start hitting top water. About fucked up. Good old tick right there. Let's go. I hate ticks, dude. They're horrible. I had to start worm fishing here in a minute. I don't know how much more they're gonna hit on top. Right there with those little, oh gosh, what are those called? I can't remember. I feel like an idiot. Work back over there and try to work that bank there. This thing's insane. I really wasn't the biggest fan of their white, so nothing wrong with it. Just, I don't know. I feel better with this combo. Plus, it complements all the gold so well. Made all the difference for me, really. Just to compliment it. Looks don't catch the fish, but when you're spending money, looks is definitely a factor to me. Back to this point here.
frog's still gigging here. And what I was thinking, these are called cattails. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. No way. Yo, what? What's up?
Anytime you want to take a break or you're hungry, you let me know. I'll go cook you something, go get something to eat, whatever, man.
All right.
You want to take a break, like I said, go somewhere, just let me know. We'll do something else.
All right. I'm having a good time right now. I can't believe I can't get them to hit on the frog. Over here in this thick stuff.
Yeah. You would think, man. But both those times I was telling you about, I had a good snag on the frog.
Yeah. Golly. What an idiot. Just let it go. It sucks sometimes.
Come on, dude. You tell me when to jump right beside my bait and ain't going to bite it. I tell you what, dude. You are one dang good buddy, man.
I try to be.
Look, I just seen a bass jump out the water. Did you see that?
I didn't see it, but I definitely heard it. And when you're pulling these out, don't get too frustrated and start yanking on them, because you will absolutely screw up. You got to yanking. You'll get it so tight you'll have to cut it all off. You don't want that while you're fishing. That was a nasty one right there.
What?
Backlash. I threw and the frog hit the water so fast. Golly. Finished up, heading home. Did pretty good this morning. Caught 4 before lunch. We went and got some lunch. Stopped by the store. Got my buddy a bait caster. He ended up getting the Max Pro, just like mine, and set up on a Proficiency rod, 7-foot medium heavy. We really enjoyed that. Had a lot of fun with it. Fished a little more. I caught 2 more this afternoon. You know, really would have liked to stuck around until about 7, right in the afternoon, to start hitting top water again. But gotta get on back. Got some plans this evening. Other than that, had a great time. Really got to test out the Whopper today. That's the most action I've had on it. And I also was using a rooster tail invited me out. Call this for the video. Appreciate y'all tuning in and watching. Catch y'all on the next one.